Welcome to video about chapter 3, and in this we'll talk about ethics, social responsibility, and sustainability. And as you've seen from previous chapters, what I like to do is I like to give you beyond what's covered in the textbook. So let me show you this video about ethics. And not sure how many of you have thought about this. Is business ethics different than just ethics? Okay, and should you have different ethical standards for your family, friends, social setting, business, strangers, etc.? And there's no right or wrong answers, but think about these things and see what comes up in your mind. Okay, and if you look at this, you probably heard of the golden rule, but I'm not sure if you heard of the silver rule. And golden rule is like the positive form is like you should treat others the way you want to be treated, which is positive form. And silver rule is you should not treat others the way you don't want to be treated. Okay. And if you look at the major religions, all of them have either the positive, which is the golden rule, or the negative, or which is the silver rule, or a combination of both. So you might be wondering, if all the religions have this, then people should have these values, and they should be ethical. Well, not everybody is religious, um, but at the same time, it's like common knowledge. Um, but you see, I mean, these are sort of the examples, and purposely picked an example of somebody that you probably may not know, because in this day and age, if you talk about a politician and people seem to favor one party over the other, then causes issues. But anyway, as far as business is possible, business is concerned, try to stay away from politics as much as you can. But politicians, unethical behavior, then if you think about, Enron, Tyco, WorldCom, all of these, major unethical behaviors. And then recently we had the predatory lending. That's what caused the 2008, 2009 crash in the stock market. But on the other side, we have people that behave ethically, people that are honest and ethical, but we hardly hear anything about them. An example of this is Harry Kramer. He was, not sure if you heard of him. And again, you know, good people usually are not that much in news. So this is like he took close to a $200 million loss. And not only he took a pay cut, but he told competitors also about the problems, because the problem was in a dialysis equipment. So that, he felt it's important to tell other competitors, so that's why people won't die. And this is literally a life and death situation, dialysis equipment. Another example is Frank Blake. He initially refused the Home Depot job offer because he said the salary was too high. So, I mean, we normally don't get to hear these stories, but there are lots of people that are ethical. For some reason, we just hear the unethical ones. Now, question is, see, we all grew up watching movies, and in movies, it kind of gives us the idea that unless you do shady things, unethical things, you are not going to win the competitive business environment that we face. Um, so I thought, let's just find out if there is a study that says, which is better, being ethical and not being ethical as far as businesses are concerned. So I found a study by, Center for Ethical Research, and what they did was $30,000 was invested over a 30-year period. Again, this is, you can do back testing, which is you look at, stock over a period of time. You don't actually have to keep the money for 30 years, but you can do the back testing that way. So this was put in 30 companies randomly selected. By the way, these are actually Dow companies. And over 30-year period, the money, 30,000, turned into 134,000. So you could actually say that it is pretty impressive. 30,000, it's a little more than four and a half times basically. So that's pretty good. So these are 30 random companies. So imagine, sorry, how much would that return be if if the same amount was invested in ethical company, the one that actually, are operating ethically. Um, so think about that. Probably most of you are thinking it's probably going to be less than what the returns are for random companies. So think about that and come up with your answer. Is it going to be less than random companies, or is it going to be more? So the question is, if $30,000 was invested over a 30-year period in ethical companies, would the returns be similar, lower, or higher than that what we are looking at? Okay, so think about it. You can even pause the video, but here is the answer. So ethical company, the return was more than $1 million. So the return is more than 30 times. Okay, more than 30 times. So we grew up listening to Hollywood stories, watching Wall Street movie, The Wall Street and others, that unless you're unethical, you do something shady, you're not going to succeed. But here, look, we got the results that if you're ethical, if you do good things, you actually are making a lot more money. So why should that be the case? Again, think about that. By the way, in this, ethics is something that you need to think about, the big picture, everything. And when we go to the chapter, I'll talk more about it. The reason this return was higher is, sorry, it's 80% of businesses repeat customers. And in this day and age of, people putting comments, online comments. So if the service or if the product is bad, it's very likely that people are more likely to put negative comments versus something is good, people are less likely to give, good comments. So that's the reason. And also if for unethical businesses, businesses get sued if the product or service is not what it is promised to be, or there are fines, penalties, lawsuits, and all of that. Plus, you lose your reputation. Plus, you lose your brand image and all that. So, probably that's the reason why companies that do ethically do so much better. Another example of ethical thing is this is some time ago. Johnson and Johnson. They had, some issue with the baby formula, and they recalled all the formula that was there. They took a big hit, but ultimately it did serve them well, because if you are the company that says that these are your values, this is what you like, your number one value is safety of consumers, then are you just saying it, or are you actually doing it? So that's why companies that do actually go, take the extra mile are, considered a lot better than the companies that just pay lip service to it. Now, many times the ethical behavior also depends upon the systems that are put in place. So again, you guys are good. I don't think you guys are going to be cheating, but if the behavior, if we, if the goal is no cheating in an exam, take home exam, it's very likely people are going to cheat. I'm not saying you guys are cheating. So that's why actually I have these exams, open book, open notes. So it doesn't matter. But the ones, the midterm and the final, there is the responders lockdown browser. So, or if the exam is given to students in a room, physical place, and it's unsupervised, then again, um, cheating would happen, or supervised at scheduled time, like, every half an hour, the instructor comes to look at, to walk around. Then again, people are going to cheat in between those times. So the best thing to do if you expect no cheating, or if you don't want any cheating, is continuous supervision. Okay. So again, sometimes the behavior depends upon the systems that are put in place, because most of the times people are actually not looking to break the law. They're actually looking to do the least amount of work. Whatever helps them, that's what they do. They're not necessarily looking to do shady things or anything. They're just looking to do the minimal amount of work. And if that involves taking shortcuts, cheating, lying, whatever, that's what they will do. So now what about the corporate ethical behavior? So, there are consumers, government, both home country as well as where the MNC is operating, uh, the company itself and other corporations too, nonprofits, NGOs, of course, the media too. All right, so these are the actors that can make sure that companies behave ethically. Now, again, I'm not going to go into details about this. These are actually interesting slides, but that's for some other day. So let's jump into the chapter again. This is more about thinking as to what makes more sense. So instead of going through the chapter, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do slightly different. Uh, what I'll do is give you an example, right? And you think about the ethical implications and what you would do. So imagine that you're working for a multinational corporation and an MNC, and you are working at their overseas location. Okay? So the company policy is that the company doesn't want to hire or is, they don't hire underage children. Okay, whatever the age limit is, they don't hire kids under that. So your first day you're at work at your MNC and you notice that there is a girl that is clearly underage, but still she is working. And because you want to follow the company policy, you fire her. And a few weeks later, you notice that she is on the street, trying to sell her body. Okay. And are taken aback. And the reason you remember this girl so clearly is because when you're firing her, was, you know, she was crying and she was begging not to be fired. Um, but you had to do that because you were following company policy. Now, so you talk to her and you ask her what happened. So she says, well, after I got fired, I didn't have any money. Well, because I don't have parents, my parents passed away, and I'm responsible for my two younger brothers. And so I didn't have money. So my landlord kicked me out and I was on the streets. And my younger brother died because we didn't have food for quite a few days. And, we had to eat from the garbage and that got him sick and he died. And I still don't have much money or any money. And so I have to sell my body. And then there you see the kid, she points to a kid across the street, and that is a kid, and she said that, that there's a kid that's begging, and she said, that's my brother. Look at this, your decision to fire this girl, underage girl, resulted in all these things. And again, think about this, and what would you do in your situation? Again, I don't expect you to write any essay or anything. This is just for you to think. So when you're thinking about ethics, social responsibility, sustainability, think about the big picture. Um, you have the policies and procedures and all that, that's good. They are supposed to make the company run efficiently and to make sure company doesn't get sued. That could be one view you're looking at. The other view could be, somebody could say, hey, company exists for its employees and its customers. So it should do things to help them rather than be very rigid. So again, it's totally up to you to think about these things. And again, the book also has a lot of interesting cases about companies that L'Oreal, Nike, Unilever, they did things um, to kind of solve similar dilemmas. Okay, some of the companies actually do hire underage workers because that's kind of the norm in the country that they operate. And at the same time, they provide them options for schooling. So, either there is on campus, like on the company premises, there is a night school or something like that. So they're trying to, do both, help the kid earn a living as well as get the kid educated. All right. So ethics is, again, you have to look at it from different points of view and also consider the actors that are involved. And then you can come up with a much better understanding of the issue and the solutions for that. And there are lots of theories about this. So go through these. These are pretty interesting. And think about these, as to what makes sense. Is it something absolute, meaning this is the law, you cannot, do anything? Or it's more of like, okay, the law is supposed to help most number of people, and let's see what we could do. All right. So that's so again, that's about it for this chapter. And again, ethics is an interesting topic. Think about it from different lenses and see what makes sense. Um, One of the things that corporations used to do is to get away from the ethical, dilemma. Because in certain countries you have to bribe to get to earn the contracts, to win the contracts. So they would hire contractors, but now that is all, those loopholes have also been closed. So think about, how do you operate? Do you operate when you go to a foreign country? Do you operate the way other companies operate over there, or you hold yourself and the company to a higher standard? All right. So thank you for watching this video, and enjoy thinking about these things, because these things are very complicated, and there are a lot many facets to it. So think about it from lots of different points of view, and then think about what you would do in these situations. All right. So thank you for watching this video, and I will see you in future videos. All right. Bye.